Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on? I'm just checking that it's actually recording, and you can see my screen now. So yeah, I'm gonna be responding to something from the American Thinker, and just look at this smorgasbord of just shit. Just look at this smorgasbord. Calling all Rosa Parks Americans. That is fucking special. Is America for or against the underdogs, which is actually what we're going to respond to in this video. Is hate speech dangerous? Hate speech is in quotes too. That's fucking special. But yeah, let's click on this. Is America for or against underdogs? And the author is E. Jeffrey Ludwig. And let's just get to this, shall we? When I was growing up in the 50s and 60s, it was believed that America was supportive of the underdog. Okay. That was before increasing numbers of people came to believe that America produced underdogs. In fact, in the minds of the left, our country is an underdog factory. Or it might be more accurate to say the left believes that America is an underdog junkie. We are addicted to turning out, bringing in, insisting upon, and embracing underdogism as an exploitative national philosophy. Considering how many dictatorships we have fucking propped up over the decades. Yet as sneaky hypocrites, we say we care. Some people, yes, are sneaky hypocrites. I think some people actually do give a shit about, people who have been historically fucked over by the system. I think it's quite interesting that you say that you grew up in the 50s and 60s, the best of times for white people. Fucking. Okay. We give a lot to charity. Just giving to charity doesn't mean that you're charitable or even just a good fucking person. We send rescue teams all over the world when there are natural or unnatural catastrophes. Do we? Is that a fucking thing that happens? I think you might want to ask Puerto Rico, or the Bahamas, or pretty much every other fucking country that has ever really had, You might want to ask Rwanda about that. The Ukraine, Crimea, the Palestinians, this list goes on. We use our military for nation building in countries that have been involved in nation destroying for hundreds or thousands of years. Nation building is just, I guess we're building nations, but just so they can be fucking pawns to us. We claim to be a country that wants to save the world for democracy or be a light in a dark room. I guess it's true that we say that, and some people believe it, but... Yet, in fact, as a country, we're Darth Vader in disguise. You do realize Darth Vader turned out to do some good at the end of his life. The whole tossing Palpatine, into the void, and shocking the shit out of him too. Also, he didn't necessarily start off as evil. He kind of got there from being fed misinformation, which I guess it actually kind of is a fucking perfect encapsulation of American culture and basically what we do. You know, we're kind of force-fed this fucking shit of, like, American exceptionalism, and then it just, you know, what happens. Bringing sorrow, poverty, discrimination, exclusion, broken dreams, death, and despair to people both within and without our country. To the left, the USA is a quintessence of exploitation. Yeah, I mean, just read the all-time best-selling college history textbook by Howard Zinn, A People's History of the United States. I mean, you don't necessarily need to do that. I mean, the country was founded upon by a bunch of slave-owning, and particularly one instance, slave-raping. As far as we know, one slave rapist was Thomas Jefferson. All men are created equal, except for black men. And, I guess it's true that, all men are created equal because they didn't really give women voting rights. And, it was really white landowning men who were the only ones who could vote when the country was initially started, so. Because they weren't lying. Thus, our history, as traditionally taught, must be seen as propaganda. Because it is propaganda, because you just kind of whitewash. Our great patriotic days must be seen in a new light. Yeah. What will you celebrate next 4th of July? I don't generally... I'm an American, but I don't generally, celebrate anything on July 4th. Instead of revering George Washington as father of our country, there was other people involved. He wasn't, like, the one who gave birth to this country. It was a group of fucking people. Will you instead celebrate his unsightly adventures that kept him from smiling in portraits? I mean, there are worse things he's done besides having shitty dentures, like killing Native American people and owning slaves. This will show his vanity and prove that his courage, leadership, integrity, and perseverance were exaggerated. I mean, they were just exaggerated anyway, because that's how we kind of deal with the Founding Fathers. Will you celebrate Thomas Jefferson's fornications with Sally Hemings to prove that his chief personality traits were lust and exploitation? Fornications is a bit, not true. He raped her numerous times and was not the only slave that he raped. He did it with a bunch of his slaves, as evidenced by fairly certain letters of him saying, it was great. This will show that his love for liberty, his gifts as a writer, and as a political visionary who wrote the Declaration of Independence and made the Louisiana Purchase, purchasing land that didn't belong to France, from France, He also unilaterally did that without Congress being involved, aside from, just ignoring indigenous people's sovereignty. And also, the whole rapist thing, kind of important. Were decidedly biased or even hypocritical. They were? Also, the Declaration of Independence wasn't a founding document of this country. It has no legal merit. It's just, as I do believe Edible Napalm put it, it was a Dear John letter to the UK. Specifically Britain, because it was the British Empire at the time. Will you celebrate Alexander Hamilton for having the humility to get into a duel and be shot dead instead of living out his life, belaboring his exploitative, capitalistic vision of America as a great manufacturing society? I mean, you see, with this mindset, any country that has or has had underdogs is automatically foul and unjust, and its heroes are repugnant. Would you really categorize the people who were rich white landowning white men? Like, would you really categorize them as underdogs? I mean, you might do, but I fucking don't. The underdogs that created the system that made other groups, the underdogs, because they were literally beneath fucking human rights to some people. Yes, the 4th has been quintessentially a family event with picnics, flag-waving, laughter, children playing tag, patriotic speeches by fucking jingoist pieces of shit. I added that, obviously. And a sense of belonging to an awesome experiment in freedom. Awesome experiment in freedom is a bit of a fucking stretch. Considering Jim Crow only relatively recently got put into the fucking history books. Like the fucking 1950s? Like, or it was 1960s or something, so it's been like 50 or 60 years. It's pretty recent fucking history, considering there are people still alive who went through that shit. Yet the cranky ones are going to make a face and remind us that the creation of America was not an unadulterated good. It actually wasn't. You know, considering it was, you know, the whole Europeans coming here, manifest destiny, doing awful things to the indigenous people, stealing their land, you know, raping them, killing them. Bunch of other fucking evil shit. Wrongs are committed, and they have not been fully atoned for. They really haven't, considering you're singing the praises of a bunch of fucking slave-owning, slave-raping scumfucks. Why are there no drag queens invited to your picnic with some pseudo humping of children on their chests or laps as they read to the kids about the glory days of colonial America? I don't, you're trying to make it that drag queen, at least the drag queens that do the drag queen story hours, are somehow a danger to kids, and while there have been some shitty people who have slipped through the cracks, the vast majority of them aren't actually fucking predators. Are you telling people about the contributions of the homosexual community to the Revolutionary War struggle, or are you suppressing this as part of your straight indoctrination? Or are you insisting that there is nothing to celebrate because our country was born in the darkness of slavery? I mean, fucking... Yeah, I mean... That... Do you scoff at Joseph in the Bible, who became administrative head of Egypt after his brothers sold him into slavery, yet said to his brothers years later, "You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good"? I mean, you're comparing the human suffering of real people to a fictional character from a fictional book. Let's see. Thus he forgave them for their wrongdoing. Or are you whining and saying, yes, that's okay for Joseph to say, but my mom still had to take care of their children to make a living? Wow, whiny piece of shit. In fact, as the years went on, it became increasingly clear that it was not enough for those on the left in the urban centers to want to help the underdog. Rather, it became increasingly desirable to be an underdog. Yes, that's how that went. According to politically correct ideology, the problems of the underdog increasingly came from his being seen as an underdog. No, it's the fact that they were seen as, is that people were seen as not human. I mean, that kind of... Redemption came from graduation from underdog status, or being perceived in some ways as disadvantaged or handicapped, to being seen as equal or even superior to those who had been considering him an underdog. Okay. The underdog no longer was a person to be helped by non-underdogs like myself, but was to have power over me. Yes, that's how that fucking works, you old, decrepit cock smacking shit stain. Yeah, in the process, I did not thereby become an underdog. No, it was not a complete role reversal that was sought. Rather, the underdog was someone who continued to need my help, respect, attention, and even love, but the underdog had gained the right to rebuff, belittle, humiliate, assault, and demean me as an exploitative SOB. I mean, considering that you grew up in the 1960s, or 50s and 60s, chances are you fucking probably were kind of an exploitative little shit stain. So in a Facebook post, a church lady I knew of a non-white race told me that since I am white, my desire to kill people of color is innate. Thus, it is fair to say I am murderous. I mean, I'd love to see that fucking post, but it's not gonna fucking happen, is it? You're just saying that because it didn't fucking happen. You know, if there was evidence of that happening, you'd probably, there'd be a fucking screenshot somewhere. Students in an at-risk high school where this writer taught looked at their teachers, black, white, and Asian, as people they just had to put up with 6 hours a day, and knowing backdrops to their own more important priorities. Similarly, in a public college where this writer taught, which you're not going to name, which is interesting, learning was a low priority for many students, even though their tuition and even their rent were being paid for. In fact, with the college's open admissions policy, many students not qualified for college-level work were there for no other reason than to prove that the top dogs are not as exploitative as they have been portrayed. That's not fucking, they were not qualified for college-level work, as says this fuckstick. We are in the midst of an incredibly convoluted mind game, initiated and perpetuated by the left. Finally, a way out for myself was created by none other than Saul Alinsky's favorite Wesley graduate, Hillary Clinton. She described a sizable majority of those who opposed her as deplorables. Yeah, you do realize that, you guys are deplorable? Like, also, you do realize that, the Nazis, when, people called them, kind of like shitty people and, sewer people, they took that as like, the voice of the sewer, and it's like, you guys are doing the exact same thing as a fucking Nazi. Anyway, as Nazis. Finally, I could belong to a despised and disparaged subcategory of citizens. I mean, you really want to be oppressed, but you're not really oppressed, so. Finally, I could get out of self-identification of that disparaged group of achieving white male straight persons whose one goal in life is to exploit others and participate in creating underdogs, while at the same time living under the illusion that I wish to help underdogs. As a deplorable, I no longer had to protect my reputation. You didn't have a reputation to begin with, probably. I could have a higher status role in a society, but could openly disparage myself as a deplorable. I could hold my head high. I could remember my pride in being nominated for a Rhodes Scholarship, or in being president of my college student government and a member of Phi Beta Kappa. Now, despite achievements, I can see that I am a bona fide deplorable. Again, do you realize that's not a good thing? The recognition I received was part of co-opting me to lifetime membership in a degraded class. Yeah, the thing is that it's, degraded class. You're choosing to be a scumfuck. It's not like you're not being like. This is the thing. White people who get mass amounts of shit rightfully, it's not because they're white that they're getting called out. It's because they're shitty people that they're getting called out. It's fucking. Anyway, the recognition I received was part of my abilities recognized by an exploitative system were pushing me toward degradation. Now, for once in my life, I could be an underdog with a clear conscience. Yes, the underdog, the fucking lapdog of a president who was a billionaire. And, Also, there's a difference between being a lapdog and an underdog. Being a lapdog means you're fucking someone's tool. Being an underdog means that, also, fucking. Anyway. Again, you guys really, fucking, a lot of you conservative white people, and yes, I'm white, but I don't have this fucking delusion of, I'm being oppressed, because I can't say the N-word, and blah, 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 blah. Like, God. Anyway. Ta-ta, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful fucking day. Ta-ta. Ta-ta.